Oh, that's a tough part. Even though he is the elf of his own individual, I don't seem to hear his unique voice. It's as if he doesn't really want to make me hear his real voice. It just sounds like my own voice in my own head, but I could tell it's a real elf because he sometimes says things that I don't know about.
Yes, and many children see them too. About 75% of the world's children today are being born with etheric vision. And when your children talk with people and have daydream playmates, the chances are they are actually speaking to some of these people. Because these angels or angelic forces or nature spirits, as they're often called, will often make themselves seen.
Whatever it is, it looks every bit like a fairy and very little like anything else.
But seriously, it kind of looks like a fairy. It just kind of doesn't look like your standard moth.
I know that the paranormal is real. Listen.
But I wasn't going to make this video until I looked a little bit closer and I realized after it lands behind my bench, it disappears. And it just vanishes. And in fact, I went outside to look, to try to find it, to see if it was trash, to see if it was a bug, to see if it was a leaf, like trying to figure out what it could be, and it was gone. It just vanished.
What's that? Yeah. What's what? Yeah, look. Right up there. Insect or something.
Is that an insect? Let's have a look. What is it?
I don't know. Oh my god!
Ugh.
What happens to people who cut down fairy thorns?
Did you see it? Huh? Did you see it? Yeah, me and him tried. What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard?
The paranormal is real. Is it? The paranormal is real.
Welcome tonight, everybody, to Fascinating Fae. This evening, we're joined by a very special guest with a bit of a different approach to how we usually approach the podcast here at Fascinating Fae. This evening, we're going to be joined by Alara, calling us from British Columbia, Canada. How are you doing tonight, Alara?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for being here. Very much appreciate you being here and making the time, as well as reaching out and making yourself available. Now, Alara, when she reached out to me, made it known that she's in direct contact with an elf. Now, here on Fascinating Fae, for the listeners that have listened previously, and for somebody who might be tuning in for the first time here, just want to remind Alara and all the audience members listening, we're not here to convince anybody of anything here on the show. I've told my own story, and I've brought many guests on with incredible stories. And you can sound a certain way when you are sharing this information and sharing these stories. And I myself, sound that way when I tell my story because it's very incredible. And so, Alara, just a reminder, we're not here to convince anyone of anything. There's no pressure here. It's important to be able to have the freedom to tell your experience and your connection with this elf as it's happening, as you yourself became aware of it happening, with no reservations, because there are other people listening, I'm certain, who have the same experience taking place in their lives. I know that through the podcast so far, many people have been brought comfort from hearing the stories of others. And so it's an honor to be able to invite this conversation with both you and then subsequently in direct proxy through you with your elf companion that you've mentioned to me is coming from another realm. And so just before I go to bring you on here, I'll just sort of finish a final thought. I do think fairies and other fae are interdimensional beings. And so I'm very interested both on your perspectives on that as well as your friends' perspectives on that. And so what I'd like to ask you to do with all of that said and with you introduced, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time to share your story with myself and with the audience. So Alera, if you could be so kind as to just help the audience understand through some storytelling, when did you personally start to become aware that you were in contact with this elf? And before you sort of get to that point, just a little bit of context. Just tell us as much as you feel comfortable about yourself, some information about what kind of things you were doing that brought about this contact, just some stuff to help people understand, and then just walk us into realizing that you were in contact with the elf. And at the end, we are going to have a live conversation through you with your elf companion, and we'll get there. So if you could do that, that would be great. Just walk us into that, please.
So it was last year of 2023 on August 27. I had noted that down because it was the day when I thought, okay, just another conversation I have with my friend, and then we finished. And then sometime after I had a talk with my friend, I started to hear a voice, and he says, "Hello, like this is not your." Oh, I don't want to copy someone else's words. Anyway, so he said that he's an elf, and he said that well, I asked him first, saying, "Are you a demon in disguise?" And he said, "No, I'm not a demon in disguise." And I also said, "Is this a tulpa?" And he said, "No, I'm not a tulpa." And well, just using my intuition, I could kind of trust this elf because he didn't mean to harm me in any way, and he just reached out to me and I was really surprised to find out he's a real elf, and it was an experience I found really elated to hear because for the longest time I drew elves and like dragons and stuff like that, but when I heard this voice for an elf, I'm like, wow, I get to talk with a real elf. But being in contact with an elf myself, I myself didn't have much questions to ask him. That's the weirdest thing ever. And so he was fine with the name I gave him. And since I gave him that name, Elaine, um, he was completely fine with it. Although he has a longer name, I did not want to share that with with everyone who's listening to this. Because although it's not his true name, he will be kind of not happy if he like hears some other people trying to call out to him using the name I gave him. That'll be kind of uncomfortable for him. So just the short name Elaine is good. And ever since that August 27th, he would never cut off the connection. He will always talk to me when I'm willing to talk with him. Like he never be rude or give me tell me something that's not helpful. He's always very very respectful, and he would sometimes give me positive comments of what I'm doing, like say I do my life things and I'm exercising, and he says, "Oh, nice." And I don't know what else I could say. I think that's pretty much up till now. He still talks to me, and do you have any questions for me?
Elaine, the elf, when he first spoke to you back in August, Alera, I'm just curious. You said you were talking with a friend. Were you talking with a friend on the phone, and then afterwards was when you first heard the voice of Elaine?
Well, I do not wish to disclose the name of the person I was talking to because
No problem.
so it was after a messenger call with my friend, and then it wasn't right away, like maybe like I don't know, 1 hour later, I started hearing a voice in my head, and I'm like, oh.
Okay, so thank you for clarifying that. I just was curious about that detail because I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on how the flow of events took place when you first heard him. Do you recall the first thing that he said to you, out of curiosity?
Oh no, my memory is not the best. I think he just said that uh something like, "Oh, hello. I am the one who you always thought of," or something like that. I'm not too sure if that's the right words because my memory is not 100% good.
Interesting. And so, what does he sound like? Would be my next question, if I may ask that, please.
Oh, that's a tough part. Even though he is a elf of his own individual, I don't seem to hear his unique voice. It's as if he doesn't really want to like make me hear his real voice. It just sounds like my own voice in my own head, but I could tell it's a real elf because he sometimes says things that I don't know about.
Interesting. Could you give me an example of one of the things that you're referring to, which he says that you don't know about? Because that's a really interesting point to make. So, if you could help the audience with an example, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Oh, this part I'm a little afraid to say, but it's a little confidential and it's not really. I never asked him much questions, but it was my sibling who asked him questions. And those questions are personal. I do not wish to like probe into there. But when he answered the questions, I was like, oh, I actually did not really think of that.
Interesting. So you were making a connection to the elf available to a sibling, and the sibling was asking questions, and then you were receiving answers which you would not have had prior knowledge to, I think is what you're describing. Is that okay? Am I correct in that? I just want to make sure
Yes,
that
that's correct.
interesting. And so the understanding of where this elf is coming from, was it in any way upsetting to you to realize that you were establishing this connection? I'm just curious what the emotional feeling was like when this began happening. If that's okay to ask, please.
Oh yeah, like when he started talking to me, I'm like, wow, a real elf. I'm like so excited. And like although I should be asking him a lot of questions and whatnot, but I was really happy to have a connection with an elf.
No, I can understand the happiness in establishing a connection with an elf. One of the very first guests that I had spoken to and brought on the show, Ron, is actually episode number 1. He's in direct contact with fairies, and he also knows the fairies that he's in direct contact. Some of them he knows by name, and he does describe basically a dialogue taking place that does not involve words. They were trying to teach him how to basically talk with telepathy. I understand that the elf is speaking with you with telepathy. I'm just curious, when you are speaking with the elf, do you speak out loud or do you speak to him within your mind as well?
Well, at times when no one's around and no one like and only there's only me and then I may want to talk aloud, but most of the time I speak with them telepathically through mind.
I totally appreciate you answering that question and making that distinction. Thank you, Arlene. Appreciate that. So your elf friend, is he ready to chat with me today? I know that you mentioned he might be interested in doing that.
Yeah, one note that he's not that very worldly, but he may be able to answer some questions. Yes, he's open to talk.
Okay. So his name is Aileen. Is that correct? Do I have it right?
Elaine.
Sorry, Elaine.
Yes.
Elaine. Okay, got it. And your name one more time, because they're so close together. I think the audience and myself are both going to just appreciate that distinction.
So my name is Alera.
Mm-hmm.
It's my business name, and Elaine for the elf.
Got it. So Alera and Elaine. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. So if I may ask Elaine a question, Alera, through you, I would appreciate that. Elaine, first of all, welcome to the Fascinating Fae podcast. Do you know what a podcast is? Would be my first question.
Yes, he knows what a podcast is.
Okay, cool. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. This is my first live conversation with an interdimensional before. I've heard information about interdimensionals through speculation and secondhand, but I've never actually spoken with one. So I'd like to ask you, in your own words, and I understand that you're coming from this place, so this is why I ask. In your own words, can you describe the realm that you're coming from in a way that might be able to be understood by humans, please?
So he says that where he's from, there's a lot of forest, and I don't know like where he is like precisely, but he says that he's in a like forested area, and that he's in some sort of a fairy civilization, I believe. And he says that he actually does not want to disclose his like exact location.
No problem. You can let Elaine know that I'm not interested so much in where he is in terms of the cross street, Hastings and 6th or something like that. I'm just interested in where his realm of existence is. Is it something that could be understood through quantum physics? Is it a magical way that he's existing? I'm just curious where the realm is in terms of its relation to our realm, because the two seem to be separate to me.
So he is like in a dimension that's similar to ours, but it's slightly higher.
Slightly higher.
Yes.
Can he tell me more about that, please?
So I think it's the fourth dimension. So yes, fourth dimension where he is.
And so we're in the third dimension and he's in the fourth dimension. Is that correct?
I think so, yes.
How is he able to make contact with you from where he is? Can you ask him that for me, please?
Oh, yes. He felt like he was being like pulled toward me when he found me, and he noticed that I keep like drawing elves all the time, and he found it amusing, and he reached out to me so that fateful day.
So if I understand correctly, you were drawing elves.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Was that something that you were doing still around the time of August when he first made contact with you?
Yes.
I see. So was he able to, and so again, just asking Elaine himself, is Elaine a man, I should ask?
Yes, he's a male elf.
Male elf. May I ask, Elaine, how old are you?
Huh. I never asked him that directly myself. I think he's saying he's about in elf years, I think 300, he says.
How about in human years?
Human years? He may be younger than me, but I say between 25 or 30.
Interesting.
I'm not sure if that matches up with what if of his elf years. Like I don't know the calculation of the years in the Fey realm and this like reality we're in. So
No problem, Alera. It's okay. So Elaine, how long do elves live? If you're 300 elf years, how old is the oldest elf would be my next question. In elf years.
Oh, in elf years. He actually says it's about 1,000, but a bit longer than that, but not as long as dragons can live.
Very interesting. And so he's living in a fairy civilization, is what I think you said a moment ago. Could you just describe that civilization for me, please, Elaine, without getting into where it is, of course? If you could please just get into some detail about what the fairy civilization is like. What other interdimensional beings live there with you?
Oh, this will be tough for me to try to get from information from him. So where he in the civilization he lives in, there are mainly elves, but there are like fairies of the small kind, like flying around, like and uh sorry for the long pause right there. It's just I'm trying to hear what he's saying.
Take your time, it's okay.
All right. So he did say there are elves. There are some fairies who are open with the elves who lives in that civilization. And there could be other folks mm, like smaller folks like the I forgot what they're called, but not really brownies, but like so it's basically there are no humans there, but there are like he wouldn't say there are centaurs there, but mostly humanoid kind of fairy beings are there in the civilization. Sorry, I just can't seem to find the right vocabulary for like what kind of fairy beings live in that civilization.
When he is telling you, is he speaking in some words that are not in English sometimes?
Actually, he speaks quite well in English to me.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Um, does my next question is about his nature as an elf. So what is an elf and how is it different than other interdimensionals? So I guess my question, Elaine, is just basically what is an elf exactly?
Oh, he says that he tells me that I might be telling you information that may be from somewhere else, but he because he resonates with the other elves that I read of, the Nordic elves. He kind of has the same abilities as an elf, like feeling energies and like able to tell what kind of animal or being just went by. I hope I'm not saying like things that kind of belong to someone else, but well, anyway, so the my elf companion can yeah read more like read energy better than a human can. Like say I just told you that there's the part where he could feel like what other animals have passed by or if someone actually erased their energy imprint. And what else can he do? I'm trying to get more information from him and he's like, no, I'm just having a like this is so sudden and I'm like trying to like get him to say something and actually it'll be nice if you can ask me more questions so I could like elaborate.
Of course, no problem. Um, Humans can't always see elves. Is that because we're in a different dimension, or is it something to do with our vibration? Does he know anything about that?
Oh, like so we are in a lower dimension than where he is. Although there is a veil that covers that where well not veil, there is some kind of a wall that shields from this dimension to the other dimension. But if he so wish to, he can like pass through the veil and like manifest. But it takes a little bit of effort to become real in this dimension because it's a bit heavier. And for someone to see an elf, that might be rare because they usually like to be in forest. And although in the other realm where there might be human buildings, there might be forest. So there is a chance someone can see an elf, but it's pretty rare, really rare.
I see. So when they do come into our realm, they like to be in the forest. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Why do they come into our realm? Can you ask Lane that, please?
So he says for him, he would. Oh, he never did enter into this realm, but he can travel as a spirit and kind of watch humans do their things. So because he can travel out of his body and around, no, as a spirit, no one would really see him that well. He would probably watch from afar or something, so that no one sensitive can see him.
I think I understand.
Yeah,
Is he meditating himself into spirit form? So he's an elf normally, but then he's projecting himself. Is that what he's describing?
yeah.
Are we able to do that too?
We can project ourselves, but it seems that we cannot go into the fairy realm ourselves, and it's pretty dangerous to go there by ourselves without any fairy guide.
Do humans sometimes get taken there?
Oh, well, I'm not sure about myself, but he says nowadays I don't think it's possible unless someone willingly goes into deep into a forest and then where no humans can track them to the other person who's going to a forest, then there are chances it could happen in a place where nobody knows what that person's doing. But otherwise, if we're tracked somehow, then say we bring our certain like transportation stuff with us, then it's likely even if we go into deep forest, they will not be taken because they don't want to know that someone was tracking that person.
But a human can get taken into the fairy realm. Are there any humans where he lives that he knows of?
I don't. He says he doesn't know.
In his realm, is it the same sort of size as Earth? Does he live in something in a world that is a round planet like Earth? What is his dimension like? If you can tell me anything more about it, I'd be really interested to understand how he is experiencing his own dimension.
So it is the same size of the Earth we live on, like the size of his realm. It's very much same, except that the forests are more what's the word? More vibrant and very lively color. And although there are pollution getting into his realm, it is more magical in a way. And um, let's see. So it's pretty much almost same, except that there's more magic in the air. I should say, or he should say.
Alara, thanks a lot for channeling Elaine for us. I appreciate that. Does he have any questions for me? And I do have some more questions for him, but I would like to ask this elf if he's got any questions for me. And so, thank you for your time here, both of you. And yeah, do you have any questions for me?
Uh, he says that it's nice to talk with another person who's open about the fairies, and but he himself doesn't seem to have any questions.
Okay, no problem. I'm just wondering, what does he like to eat in his realm?
What does he like to eat? So he usually partakes in, well, it's like when you read a fantasy book, you will see that most elves don't really eat meat, but if they do, they kind of like to eat deer meat or something like venison. So it's kind of like that. So although he usually eats vegetables and fruits and maybe pies or everything organic and like nothing we ourselves can well, there are some grass fed and like like what's the word? Free range kind of stuff for him in his realm, everything is like fresh and clean. So he can actually choose to eat meat all the time, but he wouldn't do that because he doesn't want to like decrease the population of animals in the area. So he's basically eating like vegetables, like an elf, like, but then sometimes meat, but not always.
How tall is he? Elaine, how tall are you?
Uh, he's a head taller than me, but I don't know how to put it in numbers. I think almost 6 feet.
Oh, so he's like a full size human almost. He's big.
Yeah.
People think that elves are small. Were you surprised to learn that he was 6 feet tall?
Oh no, I'm not surprised. I know that there might be different elves who might be smaller in size, but then for the elf I have connection with, I am like, oh yeah, I'm not that surprised.
So, Elaine, thanks for taking the time to talk with me. This is going to be on a podcast, and people all around the world are going to listen to this. I'm just curious if you have any messages for us humans listening. You know, a lot of people are going to be listening. So, is there something that you would like to say as an elf to humans in general? Here's your chance.
Oh, he says that humans should take their power back from like other like humans and stand up for yourself, and with as time goes with the power back, like say from a government or something like that, with good intentions, then like the world will get better, like faced against inequalities and injustices. It will get better as long as people do something about it.
Thanks a lot for that message, Elaine. I appreciate that. Um, and actually, you're right. Seems that elves know more about human society than we seem to sometimes, because the world's a mess, it seems, right now. Maybe it's always been that way. Um, I'm wondering if there are other dimensions outside of the third and the fourth that he's aware of. If he could maybe give some insights. It's okay if he doesn't know. I'm just curious.
Oh, he says there are other dimensions, but right now we may be able to talk to angels and other beings like aliens, but as we try to be more like able to love each other, not in a romantic way, but more like a unconditional way, more as we turn to that more love side, we may be able to have better technology to access other dimensions.
I've often thought that it's a tech requirement of a sort. Like, I think that magic, which was a language used in the past to describe interacting with fairies and fae, including elves.
I think I think it was myself, not him. But he says it will be possible to go to other dimensions. It's just not at the moment.
In the future, he believes that it will be possible for humans to do that regularly.
Yes.
Is that a risk to his dimension? Are they worried about humans coming there?
Well, there's a risk of having like someone with ill intentions somehow manage to get in there. That will be a problem. But then they have like strong psychic abilities, and they can tell when someone from afar is coming who with bad intentions. So, and most likely they will see if anyone with bad intentions tries to get into their realm. So they'll probably stop it before that person could even do any harm.
Very interesting. Some of the other questions that I'd like to ask is, with regards to like family structure of an elf, does he have a wife? Does he have children? Does he have a job? I'm just curious if there's a little bit more information about the society that he could provide for me.
Oh, so he himself is single, and he hmm. So he actually I didn't know about how his life goes, but he probably like, hunts and like find ways to sell things to get the food he needs. And I think that's about it.
So in his society, it sounds like it's maybe a little bit more uh, rural, I guess would be the word, or a little bit more a cottage industry type of society. Do they have large buildings and transportation infrastructure, or is it more natural there? Would be my question.
It's more natural, like walking, and if it's far away and one knows where they're going, and if they have a person they want to meet, like they may be able to do teleportation, but they wouldn't do that a lot.
You said earlier that when they come into the third dimension, it's difficult. This is something that I'm really interested in. So when fairies and elves and other fae do come into the human realm, are they how are they doing it exactly?
Oh, how are they doing it exactly? Like, if there's a rip in the veil, most likely it's big enough for fairies, like small fairy pixie kind might may be able to go through the like rip in the veil, but for full size elf, they may have to somewhat force open the veil crack or something, but they wouldn't do such a thing because they don't like to like mess up the veil that was there for a reason.
When you say the veil, can you describe the veil a little bit more, please, Elaine?
The veil, it wasn't. It's more like a fake being made that kind of veil. But he says that it's kind of like it's like a white, but it's you can't really see it with your physical eyes. But it's like a white. You know about cobwebs, like kind of like that color of the veil, and it's something you can't just like try to rip. It's hard to like rip apart, and it's it's like something I yeah, he actually has a hard time trying to describe what it is like.
So, Elaine,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, if he's got a reason why he picked you.
Oh, like, so is there a reason why he picked me?
Yeah, that's my question.
So he was pulled towards me as I was like continuously trying else, but he actually came to me when. So he was pulled towards me, and I don't know for what reason, but he says that my spirit is, well, there's something I don't know much about myself, but he says that he came to me because I would do something great in my lifetime, and he feels like he can help me achieve that goal, and he also would like to be my companion, like until I pass on. And
Very interesting. I've heard other people talk about having benevolent connections with fae,
Mhm.
elves, gnomes. Like Ron talks about one of his guides being a gnome. And so I guess what I want to understand is, why do they reach out to humans? Is it something that they are born to do? Why do they like to help us? Why is that happening? Why do they do that?
there's a few reasons, I believe. He came to me, and I think he's just trying to make sure I go on the right path and not the dark path, and stay on my journey to, as a human, like evolve my human consciousness or something, like in a way where I do good to serve others and help others. And he thinks humans can evolve in a like more positive way and have that power to do things right, and that hopefully we don't rely too much on technology because there might be like robots in the future, and he my elf companion doesn't really like that a lot.
So, Elaine, do other elves also want to help certain humans? Why do elves do that? I'm just curious why they help us.
Hmm. He says not all elves are, but he says he's of the light elf kind, and he wants to see that humanity goes more on the like positive like path, and that not only like is good for humanity, and also that in the future where every beings can live in harmony. And though for other elves, he says he's not a god, so he doesn't know why other elves would want to reach out to humans, like other than what he said.
He said he's a light elf. What other kinds of elves are there?
So there's a light elf and dark elf, and uh, yeah, and some of the dark elves may not really care much about humans, but there are certain dark elves that might outright try to harm people in a psychological way or mental way, because they never come out into like try to materialize somewhere in the human world and do something bad to a human. No, they will never do that, but they'll do it in the dark.
Interesting. I spoke with a young, I spoke with a woman from Ontario who, as a young girl, describes a full-sized, what she describes similar to what you're describing, like basically a full-size elf or goblin. She wasn't exactly sure, but it was in hand-stitched clothing, coming into her room and trying to pull her into its realm. And she described like a
Oh,
dark, yeah, she described four of them in total coming in. And
oh,
she described like a dark green fog entering her room when these entities came and went. Does Elaine know anything about the dark green fog? And does he think that those were elves or some other interdimensional based on my description just now?
he says that doesn't really sound like what dark elves do. It might be a different kind of a being.
Has he heard of the dark green smoke or smog or fog before?
He says that's the first time he heard about it. As he said before, he's not that very worldly and know a lot about the world. So that's the first time he heard about those kind of beings.
I understand. Thanks for answering that question, Elaine. I appreciate it. Um, I'm not sure if I have too many more questions. I think the main questions I have are just like, where exactly is the realm that he exists in? And as I understand the answer, it's a dimensional vibration higher than ours, separated by a veil. Did you say earlier that the fairies put that veil there?
Uh, yes, not just fairies, all of Fae kind put that veil there so that they will live in peace without the humans bothering them. But apparently pollution is leaking through the veil.
So our pollution is getting through the veil into their dimension.
Yes.
How did they put the veil in place? Does he know?
He actually doesn't know.
But he knows that all Fae kind did it collectively. Is that what he's saying?
Yes.
Does he know what are the different kinds of Fae? What does he know?
Uh,
I mean, there's elves and there's fairies. I know that much. I know there's an elf because I've spoken with you today, Elaine, and I know there's fairies because I've seen one, but what else is there, please?
Other magical beings that they could like mythical beings that could do magic. Like, maybe also I'm not sure if merfolk can do it too, but they probably only have power over water, so I don't think merfolk. So, hmm. So there's the elves, there's the fairies, there's Oh, never mind. I was thinking of something, but I don't think it's good for me to say it.
No problem. Go ahead, please.
No, it's just that I have something in mind, but it may be a bit um, encroaching on an area I shouldn't really talk about because for some other people's copyright reasons.
No problem. Whatever you feel comfortable with here today. Um, you know, Elaine, this is the first time that an elf has been on a podcast to my knowledge. So I'm just curious if there's anything, again, that you have to ask about humans, if there's anything he wants to ask me personally.
He says it's great that you're doing the podcast. That's not his words. It's me messing up the word. Anyways, he says that it's great that some human beings are more open about fey beings and that being careful of who to connect with, and so that everyone gets some information about it, and so what could do with it in a positive way. And he says he doesn't really have questions.
No problem. Um, for you, I have some questions now, and
Yes.
Elaine, I appreciate your time, and if it's okay, I'll let Elaine go for now.
Okay.
So, Alera, when you first realized that you're in contact with an elf, is this something that you were able to talk to your family and friends about? And if so, I'm just curious what their reaction has been.
Okay, my sister's, who is my sibling, she's very open about it. She knows that he's real because he sometimes tell how my elf friends tells me that, oh, you should give your sister some space, and that's how she knew he's not just any like random like thought in my head, but is a real elf. But then it's my parents; they wouldn't understand if I try to tell them that, oh, I'm talking to a real elf in my mind. They'll just think it's schizophrenia or something, and make me take more medication from anyways. And for my friends, one friend there are few friends I know who know about my elf friend. There's one in USA and there's one living right near me in the same place in this province that we live in. And I think that's about it. And yeah, there are other people who know about this too, but want to say it in this podcast because it's just gonna not sound very well.
Yeah, and I think it's brave of you to come on.
Yes?
I think that people listening are going to have a difficult time with certain aspects of this conversation. And I say that not because I'm trying to dismiss you. I'm just saying that because that's the truth. Certain people listening are going to have a very difficult time accepting and believing what you're speaking about. I will say that myself personally, I've been reluctant to bring people onto the show that are in direct communication with fey beings, or so they are claiming. And the reason for that is because I too, prior to seeing a fairy, you know, I employ a rational mindset to things. But the reason I am having you on, as difficult as it might be for my rational self, is because I did see a fairy. And it
Yeah.
was definitely from another dimension. And so I've been on a search for answers about 3 questions, basically. The first one is like, what are fairies? So maybe actually, you know, I'll go back if Elaine's still available and ask that question in a second. What are fairies? The second question is, where do they come from? But then the final question is like, well, what does that mean about myself? You know, what does that mean about my capacities to also, because you know, if I can see and experience a fairy with my eyes and ears, what are my eyes and ears capable of? And I have said on this podcast out loud more than once that we have the ability to interact with the other realm. Yeah, so what are fairies, please, Elaine?
So fairies, there might be folklore text about it, but really can't really trust on the stuff that humans wrote down. So he says that there's a possibility that some fays could be fallen angels, but not all of them, because some may be created by God or goddesses themselves. And there could be also fairies that from our like collective consciousness try to like what we believe in might have created something new. For example, something like something very interesting like how do you pronounce that? Loch Ness? Like the
You
monster in the
got
lake or something?
yeah, the Loch Ness monster. Yeah.
Like although scientific reasons come up saying that oh there is a certain type of dinosaur that lives in the lake, but there are like beings, entities that are actually created from our own minds that become real from like not just from one person, that's impossible, but from a lot of people. So there are a couple of ways that fairy could be like, yeah, it could be a real fairy from the created by the gods or the source, or that's number one, and number two is they could be they probably could be fallen angels that turn to being a fairy. And number three is that wait, I kind of lost count. Which one's which?
No problem. I think there's fallen angel type, and then one's originally created by God. Those were the first two.
Oh yeah, and that from collective consciousness creating a new type of being, like shadow. What was the word again? Like some kind of scary being. I forgot what it's called. Skinwalker, something like that. I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
they really existed in the first place, but it might be from people's fears and whatnot that created it.
Interesting. And so, a real fairy is a fairy that is from the realm that he is from. Is that what makes a fairy a real fairy?
You're asking what makes a real fairy?
Yeah, because if one's a fallen angel and one's something that human consciousness created, where are the fairies that he is living alongside from? Like, is that what a real fairy is?
Oh, yeah. So they're not the fallen angel kind or like created from human mind. They're the kind of real kind of elves that the source created them. Like, not just any god, but I don't know. He doesn't know what kind of exact god created elves or fairies. But he's in a civilization where every being there is their own individual, like, not created from like a human mind or being a fallen angel. None of that.
So does he is so Elaine, is each fairy a real individual?
Yes, they actually do have their own like free. I'm not sure about free will, but they do have their own individual self.
So they have a name, a personality, and choices. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you said that he can sometimes know things about other people. Would he know some stuff about me, for example?
Oh, he says that if the person he's talking to is not my like say someone I'm close with, like a stranger he's talking to, he will say, "Oh, I just know your name is Jim and you live in the same province as this human I am with," and he doesn't know anything about your personal life or anything except he does know you're a male and yeah, he doesn't know anything that's like more on a personal side or anything that's intimate. No, he doesn't know anything about you that's like, yeah, private.
No problem. Thank you for those questions. So, Alera, just as we move towards wrapping this conversation up, I do want to thank you again for your time. I want to thank you for being so honest and brave in coming forward with this communication and letting Elaine speak through you as you have today. I'm sure that's not easy to do. As you described, this isn't something that you can talk to just anybody about.
No.
So I do thank you for that, and I hope that I've done a good job asking questions in a curious and respectful way here tonight.
Yeah, that was good.
If you don't mind, as I go to let you go here, right?
Hmm.
I'm sure that you were probably very surprised when you realized that you were actually in direct conversation with an elf. Has this affected your life in any way outside of just, the obvious fact that you're now talking with an elf? I'm just wondering what kind of impact it's had on your life.
Um, I just I can say that he definitely wants me to go outside more and be more active physically. So, um, although I have my own decisions, I'd say it's a positive impact.
Yeah, they seem to be people's friends for some reason, the Fae.
Mhm.
They seem to be benevolent for the most part. But as you point out, there are stories about dark Fae, and I will
Mhm.
get there in this podcast eventually. So, Alera, with all that said, with this conversation drawing to a close here tonight, as I thank you again for your time and thank you for being here, I'd just like to offer you the opportunity for any final thoughts that you yourself would like to share, or any final thoughts that are coming through from Elaine that you'd like to share. Just let me know if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience as we move to conclude this conversation here tonight.
So the words I had in my mind is that open-mindedness is a good thing, but it's hard to open our egoic minds, but just open-mindedness is good. And as long as there's respect, everything should be fine.
Really appreciate hearing your perspective. It's definitely a unique perspective, and one of the first times that we're going to have this type of podcast format for the show. So what I'd like to do as we just move to finish up here is offer some really big thanks to Alera, to Elaine, for coming on the Fascinating Fae podcast. On behalf of all of our human and non-human listeners, a big thanks to you both for being here tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't just leave without like saying something nice. Of course, like that was a good a little nerve-wracking, but then that was a good like conversation. And I hope everybody could gain some kind of insight from this podcast.
Thinking of the weight of the world and I'm carrying the largest load. Waiting to arrive by whatever there lies at the end of the road. If anybody's listening, then please do heed the call. If ever there was need, it's time to tumble all the walls. Is there anybody out there anyway? Is there anybody out there anyway? Thinking of the nature of man, and is there a master plan? 100 million dead by another man's hand, and still the bombs aren't banned. And you can feel the they would try to intervene.